podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Sosbans and Sidesteps podcast. Joining me, as always, is New Jon. Good evening, New Jon.
Evening, Huw. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Still no Big M. Unfortunately, this week we're worried about him. We think he might have picked up a party habit, and he's out on the town every single night, and we just don't know when he's going to come home. So, Big M, if you're out there, send us 3 rings. Let us know you're safe, and you're not face down in a ditch or in a pond or somewhere even worse. Because we need you to come back and talk about scrums and the community game, because I'm getting quite fed up trying to read these names because there's always new names on there that I've never read before and it's embarrassing. Anyway, so in this
I think he heard about your wonderful time in Bordeaux and then just decided that he's going to go on a pub crawl, an endless pub crawl in Llanelli until he runs into the boys, and I think that's probably what's going on.
That's probably it as well. So in this show, we're going to be talking about the Scarlets' defeat of Cardiff in our first of the Christmas derbies. We'll be talking about the return of Brython Thunder. We'll be going through the community game, and we shall be previewing our next big game against Bridgend. Right, where should we start, New Jon? Let's start with Cardiff. So, general reflections on the game, please.
General reflections on the game is Gareth Davis is never allowed to retire. He must start for us at 9 forevermore, although he must never kick a ball again in his life. I think that's sort of... Does that sum up our feelings from the group chat? I think from the
I think so. I think so, because it was... I would describe this performance from Gareth Davis as a bit like when you go and see a band and the band goes, do you know what it is, lads? We've only got one good album, so we're just going to play that from start to finish. How about that? And he did that. So there was intercepts. There was running with his tongue out, which is my favourite thing. There was playing off 9, taking control of the game, being the man, walking around with a bit of arrogance, a bit of lip, a bit of dog in him, and some of the worst box kicks you've ever seen. I put in the group chat some of... You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I can't see you.
Oh, well, that might happen. Hopefully my camera pops back in a bit, but I am here.
Okay, right. So he said, yeah. So I put in the group chat, God, some of Gareth Davis's box kicks selections are really not helping us. And then he got named official player of the match about 10 seconds later, and I just said, I'm not backing down on the box kick thing. Validate me, Jon. I wasn't being unnecessarily mean, was I?
No, I think they clearly went out into that game with the idea that, okay, what they're going to do, or what we're going to do is like kick the leather off it mostly. I mean, that is what we do more with Gareth Davis starting at 9.
19 kicks he had in this game. 19.
Yeah, and to be fair, most of them I felt, especially in the first half, were more or less on the money. Now the kick receipt we can talk about in another way, because I feel like both teams' kick receipts were pretty poor, I felt. But the actual kicking strategy, I could understand where he was coming from. Every now and again, though, he does like to go a little bit off script and just say, hey, I think there's a gap there. I'm just going to kick him behind. Maybe he did that a little bit more in this game than he has in others. But I generally, I would agree with you. It was a little bit cowboy, pulling guns at dawn, sort of like, let's just see what works here.
Yeah, and I think it did get to the point where the chasers weren't really sure what they were supposed to be chasing. But the stat is that Gareth Davis's double try for the Scarlets against Cardiff on Friday took his career tally in the URC up to 57, with only Tommy Bowe, Craig Gilroy and Tim Visser and DTH van der Merwe, the best van der Merwe, ahead of him. Both Tim Visser and DTH on 58. He is still the record all-time try-scoring scrum half in Celtic League history. That's our Cawdor. And it was good to see. Poor old Archie Hughes was never coming off that bench, was he?
No, well, yeah, we can talk about that a little later. But no, I think when he had such a firm grip of the game, and especially without Sammy playing, and you rely on him so much more for that game control, And yeah, there was no chance of him coming off. It was pretty clear. I mean, even right, I have this written down here in my like first draft of notes when I was watching the game the first time over. In the 76th minute, he picks up the ball at the back of a scrum, fends off Alex Mann with one hand, and then kicks about 30 meters downfield. So yeah, I even towards the end of the game, he was still in pretty good nick after that rush down from the intercept. So that didn't gas him too much.
He seemed to have Gareth Davis just has this whenever we play Cardiff. Like you find, oh, you're back. Your camera's back on.
Oh, okay. That's good to know because you're not on mine. My computer is making noises that suggest that things are improving. But
Right.
yeah, we'll just trust in the
Okay.
process.
Right. Anyway, so Gareth Davis seems to have something personal against Cardiff. And when I chatted to a couple of the Scarlets boys in Bordeaux, okay, so after a slight technical break, New Jon has returned on his phone. That's why the lighting has gotten so much more interesting on his side.
Very
But
dramatic here.
so as I was saying, it does feel like that Gareth Davis has got something very personal against Cardiff, something very deep down. And, they say find something in your life that you love as much as this. I say find something in your life as much as that you hate as much as Gareth Davis hates Cardiff, because he scores a try against them, two tries against them both times. Apparently, he told Dwayne Peel before the match he was going to score two tries, and he did. And to be honest, Jon, we talk about the Scarlets and we associate them with champagne rugby. This was vinegar rugby from the Scarlets in this game. I thought there was a real kind of nastiness to us in this game, which I kind of liked. I was kind of into. I'm not going to lie, and there was a moment in the first half. I think it was the second scrum of the match. At the first scrum, we got a penalty given away against us, and then they had a scrum on our 5 meter, and we won the penalty. And as they stood up, Kemsley Mathias just gives a couple of words to Javan Sebastian, and then it all kicks off, and Javan Sebastian loses his head a bit. And that was the moment where I knew we were going to win the game because we clearly had psychologically something over them. There was something going on with the boys in this game, and they were never going to do it. And I'll see if I can find the clip now of how they were celebrating after the match as well. The boys really, really enjoyed that victory, and I don't know what do you think it was? Was this it? Was this a mind over body type game of rugby?
I mean, to be honest, this reminds me of something I forgot to mention last week, which is I feel like our front five in particular are getting really niggly and really nasty to play against, and I love it. I love it so, so much. And it was so clear in this game. Like you said, you could see it after the first or after the second scrum. But I felt like it was on display for that whole opening 20 minutes or 15 minutes when we were just defending on the 5 meter for the whole time. If you could tell that there was a really nasty atmosphere there on the pitch, and I was there for it the entire time. It was fantastic. I loved it. I particularly am really enjoying Douglas and Ball playing together. I feel like the two of them, like I'm sure they're really lovely guys, and on their weekend they mow the lawn and they trim the bonsai tree and they walk the dog and they're great. But for 80 minutes every week, you can tell they're pricks, and it's absolutely fantastic. Like Douglas in particular, I've just got a feeling that he is a real nasty customer to come up against. Um, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean when you call it vinegar rugby. Like I couldn't agree with you more. I felt like that was it was a game that was really won up front very traditionally. There
It,
wasn't as much flair going on, but
it wasn't a very Scarletsy performance, but at the same time, and it's a bit odd that it is this because we're not that team, especially if you look at the results. Factually we're not. But it felt like we were the team that knew how to win and they weren't, which is obviously not at all how the seasons have been going so far. It's been the opposite. But we kind of felt like the team who knew how to win that game. You mentioned him there, and after we finished recording last week, we literally stopped recording. We both went, "Oh, I meant to say this." Jake Ball, Jake, I'm sorry. I thought you were finished. And when we re-signed you, I thought it was a desperation signing. Now I am with a straight face demanding that you play for Wales because I don't think that there is a second row in Wales who's playing better than Jake Ball right now.
No, I think playing for Wales, one thing, yeah, maybe, but I would also say that I was very, very, very skeptical that Jake Ball would be a good signing for us this year. And you just, I mean, what was he like in this game again? I've got him written down somewhere. He was our top tackler with
Yep.
18 completed tackles. He carried 7 times there as well. He is always a good carrying option when we're going through the midfield. He's really good around the ruck for cleaning out both offensively and defensively. Like he loves to hit a ruck as well. Um, and he's just I kind of feel like he's a missing piece that we didn't have for the last couple seasons. I suppose since he left, but like, well, it's just I feel like now we have that really hard, aggressive grit, which we didn't have last season, and having him and Douglas and McLeod and Taylor and Lousy, obviously, it creates and that's not even going into mention, sort of Matthias and and um and Manus and Elias, like also in the loose. Like it's a really scary pack. I genuinely think there are a few players you could probably get in there, but I think we have the best pack in regional rugby at the moment.
Oh dear, that's a big claim to make when we consider who we're playing next. But yeah, it was like I said, a very unscarlety performance. Just kind of on that, I just need to talk about the stats because the stats for this game are absolutely hilarious, and it reminds me a bit of when we beat Cardiff at Cardiff House back a couple of years ago. We haven't lost there since 2019, by the way. Um, the the stats for that game were kind of a bit silly as well, and I'm here to tell you guys that this isn't going to work every week. It's good that it worked in this game, but like they had 15 22 entries and averaged 1.1 points. We had 4 22 entries and scored 5.2 points on average. That's an objectively hilarious stat. Um, and it's not going to be like that every week. I'm just here to tell you that's not how it works. Um, from the kind of research that I've done into it, 22 entries are the closest thing that rugby has to XG, and you can overperform it and underperform it in certain games, but you can't reliably just make 4 entries per game and score a try on every single entry. It doesn't work like that. So we need to have a think about that one. Attack profile, like I said, 15 to 4 on 22 entries. We actually had the better of line breaks, 4 to 3, which says a lot. Carries, we had 70. They had 175. Kicks, we had 32. Like I said, 19 of those were Gareth Davis. So post-contact meters, they had less than 2 post-contact meters per carry. We had nearly 3. Call it 3 that we had. That's a big difference. And then kind of defensively, they actually had more dominant tackles. I'm starting to be a little bit suspicious of dominant tackles as a stat, to be honest. I think it's more tactical than it is kind of good or bad. But we made obviously a lot more tackles than them, so we missed more as well. We won 9 turnovers, which was crazy, and got 4 tackle turnovers as well. Just again, not something that you're going to see that works every week. And I think just to bring you back in, John, Cardiff had a lot of attacks and they had a lot of platforms to launch attacks off them. And it got towards the end of the game, and I kept thinking, okay, this time they're not going to drop the ball after 2 passes. And then they just did again. And whilst that was good for us, it's also kind of, we can't rely on everybody doing that.
Well, I was just coming in on that for a second. I I was watching the game back today, and then the score was suddenly 21-17. And I looked at the clock and saw it was only 60 minutes. And I was like, how does no one score again in this game for 20 minutes? Yeah, the reason is really, really bad handling errors, reset scrums, and kind of one trick in attack, which we were able to defend, which was just kind of trying to pass the ball quite aggressively out wide.
Well, yet
Um,
again, we went down to 13 players against Cardiff, which I want to say that we've done in each of the last 3 games against them. I think we did it in both games last season, and we've just done it in this one as well. And that we had a 3rd yellow card. On the yellow cards, let's just talk about them. I can't even remember the first one, but the second one, Josh McLeod's one, where
no, McLeod is the first one.
Was he?
Yeah, it's McLeod, Davis, Williams.
Okay. So yeah, I remember now. So Gareth Davis is one. Fair enough. Josh McLeod's the one I thought, ref, you've lost your head there a little bit. For me, I don't see it.
I agree with you. I don't think it should have been a card. The reason that I think he might have given it was they were going after Sheedy pretty aggressively. I don't think there was ever a late tackle in there, but there were some pretty strong hits.
You couldn't
And
call it a tackle. Like he didn't.
oh no, this definitely it wasn't a tackle. But what I mean is like up until that point in the game, we'd been going very aggressively at Sheedy. I think that's in the back of the ref's mind, but again, it's not. Like I'm trying to find reason for it, but like I it wasn't a card. Like he didn't try and wrap, he didn't do anything, no one fell over. Like they just ran into each other. Like it's if you really wanted to call it something that bad, I mean you can't call a blocking call on it because they're not the team in possession, but like you could try and say he's trying to have an influence on play like that. The ball was never even being shaped to go to. They weren't shaping for it to go towards Sheedy anyway, so it's a moot point, but not for Ben Breakspear, I suppose.
Well, speaking of kind of blocking calls and things, there was the Kemsey Mathias one in the second half where Josh Adams flings himself into the back of him as hard as he can.
Yeah, uh, yeah. I feel like it's now that the rule change on shepherding the kick and everything is like now that that's come in, it's much easier for a referee to call that. I'm not 100% certain that Matthias doesn't change his line for it, but at the same time, like Adams does run into him. There's a point late, or is it earlier on or later on? I can't remember. No, it's later on where Winnett goes for a no. It's at the end of the first half. Winnett goes for an up and under, and just immediately runs straight into Lousy, who does not move and just sort of like tries to make himself as small as possible. And Winnett runs right into him. Um, it's called back for loss of it. It's like, oh yeah, advantage. You were playing with advantage and you've lost the ball. But it was just really funny to see Lousy like sort of stand there. Winnett run into him. He bounces off, falls to the floor, arms up in the air, and Lousy's just like looking down at him, like, I don't know what to do here. So just like put one hand out and helps him up. But yeah, it was a bit strange because there were a lot of these calls that I think were at least marginal. The Johnny Williams one as well. I can understand again why it's given. I think there was a very marginal call to make.
I was
And
very confused about that one because I was watching the game on mute at that point, and the way that the camera filmed it made it look like it was Blair Murray who'd been yellow carded. And I was looking at the replays. I was like, I genuinely can't see what he's done here. And I was watching it trying to see what Blair Murray had done. And it took like you guys had to tell me like, no, it's Johnny Williams has been yellow carded.
well, I was watching it with sound on, and I thought it was Blair Murray, and I was just hearing, oh, it's he's offside because of course the referee is only saying he is, he is, he is. So he's saying, yeah, he's a part of the ruck, and then he's offside from the ruck when he tries to make the tackle because he doesn't make an attempt to get onside. And I was looking at Murray's feet trying to figure it out. But yeah, so Williams kind of almost like falls into the tackle. He like accidentally makes a tackle and then finds himself at the base of a ruck. He gets up and he doesn't take the step back to get onside before falling into another tackle. Sort of, yeah, a little bit chaotic from him, but to be fair, like it was, the game was running at quite a fast pace at that point. It was what 65th minute or something like that,
Hmm.
and yeah, so you can give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But what I would say is, while overall I didn't feel like Breakspear was, um, I felt like they were a little bit harsh, the calls that were coming against us, although I could see them. I did feel that Cardiff were under penalised in this game. Like by the end, their rucks, like either if they were counter rucking or if they were clearing out, like they were an absolute mess. Like they were all over the
Well,
place because they
total
hadn't been
penalties
picked.
given away by Cardiff in this game was 5. We had 15, and we had 3 yellow cards. That's
Mm,
that's quite a one-sided penalty count. I think as well. I think Ben Breakspear did himself a bit of a disservice early on with the disallowed Cardiff try, where they drop it from that maul thing, where he awards the try, and then the TMO says, "Oh, but they dropped it." But then Breakspear says, "Okay, but the reason that he's dropped it is because Henry Thomas was in from the side anyway, and he caused it." Now, The replays, in my opinion, clearly show that they dropped the ball long before Henry Thomas ever arrived on the scene. But and it doesn't matter because the try wasn't given and stuff. So this is all just kind of chatting. But what that reveals is that in the moment, Ben Breakspear thinks he's seen something and has tried to even it up in the moment, where he's gone, a Scarlets player has committed an offence, but Cardiff have scored a try, so I'm just going to let it go. And then the TMO has gone, no, this has happened. And he's gone, yeah, but it's fine in the moment. I've kind of done it. So that was a window into what I'm sure lots of referees do, in that they see an offence, but then they wait and see what happens next, and then blow the whistle or not, depending on that. But it just kind of, I think the referee gave himself away a little bit there.
Yeah, potentially. I think it's hard to prove anything one way or the other with it, but I could definitely see that being the case. I know we were like texting trying to figure out what he was trying to award a penalty for. I was looking at it thinking, well, the only reason he can overrule the knock on is if it's foul play. That's what I was thinking, and I was like, well,
Mm.
it can only be foul. I was like, why could this be foul play? Is it like referee? Because is it repeated infringements within the 5 meter, and so you can give a technical as a foul? That was the only thing I was thinking, because obviously that would be referee's discretion, even if it was a bit extreme.
Mm.
And then I was only when I watched it back today that I actually heard him say, "Oh yeah, no." He comes in at the side, dislodging the ball and causing the knock on. So it's a strange decision. I think your logic is the best explanation we have to go on with it, because I
Yeah.
can't see any other reason where it makes sense.
Going back to the stats, like I said, this isn't going to work every week. The territory and possession. So Cardiff had 77% of their ball in our half. We had only 46% of our ball in their half. Our most common action error was between the halfway line and our own 22, which I think that kind of thing gets skewed by kind of where you have a load of set pieces. Like if you had a load of reset scrums, or if you have a load of line outs there. Again, Gareth Davis playing the hits, his clearance box kicks going about 2 meters. And then we have a line out on the 20. They have a line out on our 22. 40% possession, which I think has been revised up. We only had 33% territory. Now, I don't hate that. You do see teams win with those stats quite often. Um, Passes, we had 93 from 70 carries. They lost 17 turnovers. Honestly, it felt like more. It felt like that they couldn't do two passes without dropping the ball. So, yeah, like I said, my overriding feeling from this game is it was such a one-off weird game of rugby
Mm,
where one team just knew very specifically how to get under the skin of the other. You have to remember that Cardiff and Scarlets train together really often. Like
mhm.
several times a year, we see the posts on socials of the joint training sessions. So these boys know each other really well at this point.
Yeah, and it was clear after the final whistle, like they're all clearly have a good relationship together. They're all hanging out and chatting a bit more than you see after a normal game. Like they are clearly on good terms. But yeah, it was a weird game. Just on the box kicking thing for a second, because I have thought before that okay, yeah, we like to box kick an awful lot. We've been doing it certainly in the last few games quite a lot, and but we always do it a bit more with Gareth Davis on. Problem is, I don't know how much Vaseline people had on their hands like before going into this game, but not a single player could field a high ball in this game. Like it didn't matter who kicked it. Wait, no, I saw someone who took one. Murray took one towards the end. Murray took one towards the end just before he had his ankle done. But like it felt like every single high ball was going to grass. Um, yeah, yeah. It's sorry. Yeah, it's really, really, really strange one. Strange one. But then I think part of that as well is Sheedy had an off game. I feel like Sheedy had a very, very strange game. Um, I was in the final like 2 minutes of the game and I was watching, and I was even getting nervous watching it because it was so intense. It was a fantastic end to a game, and I'd completely forgotten that for some reason at the end of the game, Callum Sheedy decided to like literally crossfield kick from one tram line to another, more or less, and then obviously Gareth Davis gets the volley out. Couldn't go to a finer man, but yeah, it's just a strange and bizarre tactical choice there. I think I think our defense did a really good job of rattling him very, very early on, and I just don't think he was the same for the rest of the game because we were like shooting up on him and Ben Thomas like the entire first half.
Ben Thomas, I've been a Ben Thomas defender. He did nothing in this match.
He was really effectively shut down because if you I know I understand you were watching it on mute, which to be fair is probably good for your mental health, but like um they were always commenting, "Oh, look at the line speed, look at the line speed." The thing was, I didn't think we had much line speed to speak of. We had individual defenders shooting out, trying to shut down first and second receiver. That's what
That
I
was
saw more
another
than
thing that
anything
Gareth
else.
Davis did really well.
Yeah,
He spooked them quite like very effectively.
he did it very well. Johnny Williams did it very well. Eddie James did it a couple of times too, and so did who else was it? Was it Max Douglas, who I remember seeing going out? Um, it was really, really effective, and it won't work every week, but I think Cardiff, when I watch Cardiff, I think they don't attack in the exact same way as the Scarlets do, but they have a very similar sort of when they want to go wide, they have a very similar structure. Um, but I think where we have Hawkins, Sammy, um, Eddie James, and Joe Roberts and Blair Murray, who are all sort of very valid run pass kick options. I think with Sheedy, you have a kick pass option. And with Ben Thomas, yes, he can run pass kick, but he mostly goes for run or pass. Like I feel like they can't be so creative when they want to go wide. So when you can see, oh, they're shaping to go wide, well, we just need to really aggressively run at Ben Thomas and Callum Sheedy, and then nothing can happen. That's what the first half really felt like to me. Second half, not so much because they varied up their attack a little bit more, had a bit more go forward through the midfield. But like in the first half, that's what I was thinking. Like, oh, they're really effectively shutting them down out wide. That's what I got from it. I don't know what
Uh,
you thought.
no, I thought so as well. I thought we just drifted really effectively. I thought that our decision making in defence was very good, and I thought there was a confidence to our defence as well. That's it's odds the dominant tackle stats because anytime they got close to our line, we stopped them, and they weren't able to drive over us. And it was very unusual as a Scarlets fan to see us kind of bully them a little bit
Mm.
physically in the collisions. That's not something that we're used to seeing, and it just worked extremely well. I want to kind of talk about the lineups a bit more, or the lineup for the Scarlets. I don't have that much to add about Cardiff, but so we talked about the pack and how effective the pack is. Can't Rugby Pass find Jake Ball a photo? Obviously, Josh McLeod was very good until he unfortunately had to go off with an HIA. Sadly, he's not available this weekend, which is a massive blow. Fletcher Anderson continues to be excellent, absolutely excellent. He's a commentator's dream because sometimes the commentators would go, Fletcher Anderson, he's a good carrier. And then he would smash through someone with 10 meters and you go, see, told you. And so I enjoyed that. Joe Hawkins got mentioned a lot on commentary for his defense. Now,
Mm.
it was made a big deal of how many tackles that he made. And look, I'm not knocking the guy, to stand there and make tackles. I've praised lots of tens for doing it, and he deserves praise for it. It's not as a unicorn thing as you might think for a fly half to be one of the top tacklers. Sam Costello has been our top tackler multiple times. I can think of plenty of examples at test level. Roman Untamak is an example of a 10 who does a lot of tackling. It's good that he can do it, and he clearly physically stood up to absolutely everything that Cardiff threw at him. What did you think of his performance all around?
Or just on the tackling, like yeah, I thought he was our second top tackler with 17 I have here. 17 tackles. Overall, I thought he was I thought it took him about 20 minutes to settle into the game, and then by the end, I thought he was playing really, really fantastically well. I actually thought um, once, and yes, I am going to bring this up again. Once, once was it Johnny Williams went off for Joe Roberts to come on? I don't have my computer's packed in, so I don't have any information now. But
Well, our back three in the game finished off as
Archie,
Archie, Ellis, me,
me,
and Joe Roberts, I think.
did Rogers go off for Roberts then?
Rogers went off on 4 minutes for Roberts.
For Roberts, okay.
And Archie Hughes came on to replace Blair Murray on the wing, and Ellis Mee went to fullback.
So Williams was on the whole time then, yeah. So
Yes.
well, apart from his 10-minute Tane Plumtree's trademark
Yeah.
10-minute rest, the yeah. So I thought that towards the end, Hawkins and Eddie James were going quite well together. I thought I can see a bit more of a connection between them. At the beginning, the attack was forced. He was taking the run option. He took the run option once or twice when I thought, like, I don't know if it's really on. I don't know if he was just doing that to try and establish that, hey, I am a running threat. You need to account for that as well if you're defending against me. But he even tried to force an offload at one point that almost got knocked on, or did it get knocked on? Again, missing my notes right now. And so at the very beginning, I felt like he was forcing play when there were wider attack options that would have been maybe more effective. However, that being said, I thought he identified the space well when it went to Gareth Davis's little a little snipe down the blind side to score. He ran into contact. He ran, went down, and then got up back into the attacking line for the next phase, and was able to pull it wide fairly quickly, maybe a little bit slower, but still with enough time to spare. Gets it across over to me for that flick pass, which was absolutely fantastic. I think it goes from Hawkins to Eddie James to me to Douglas on the wing, who did not look out of place there at all.
And the TMO checks it, not because he thinks he went forward. It's so cool he wanted to see it again.
He just wants to see a back row, a step, a fly, a fullback, and a scrum half. Yeah, well, I don't think he really stepped Aled Davis. I don't think Aled Davis wanted to tackle him. That's what it really that's what it looked like. Well, because he goes to step, and instead of like going one way, Aled Davis goes backwards. It's pretty good. Yeah, so he pulled the strings in that attack really nicely. So I enjoyed that. At the end, at the very, very end, I'm just trying to remember exactly what happened, but he he's running behind Eddie James. Eddie James gets the ball. I think it's off a turnover towards the sort of 75th minute. And Eddie James manages to take the first tackler with him. The second one starts to bring him down. He gets the offload out the back door, and Hawkins gets a really nice touch on it, where he's able to send, I think it's Ellis Mee and Blair Murray running after it. They put pressure on Winnett. Winnett kicks out, maybe clears about 15 meters. That was really, really nice to see. And I feel like that connection is building a little bit more between them now. And spoiler for news ahead, but Sammy's out for a little while. So we better get used to seeing Hawkins starting at 10 for the next couple games. And if he's with Johnny Williams and Eddie James, then I feel good about that.
It's also our biggest midfield, our biggest kind of lineup in the midfield is those three. They're all 6 foot plus. I think they're all 100 kilos plus. Maybe Johnny isn't quite 100 kilos, but I think it is.
I don't know. He looks pretty big these days still. Maybe not at his peak, but
let's talk about the centres briefly. So I thought Johnny Williams, I don't think you could, from a stats point of view or from a moment point of view, go, he did this, but I thought that he was one of the vinegar captains in this match. I thought he was one of the players who really said, no, I'm not losing to Cardiff. And I just thought that he brought it. And I don't know how to articulate or explain it any more than that, but I just thought that he really just made sure the game was played in the way that he wanted it to be played.
Yeah, he dictated it on his terms, didn't he? That was it. And I thought in defense, he was one of those shooting out of the line every now and again. And in attack, he carried into contact a few times. And also, it's an undervalued thing, I think, sometimes when we watch as fans, but like he was in the way a lot. He presented an option. He ran with pace. He wasn't chosen to run very often, but he doesn't need to be. He just needs to fix his defender. And he did that fantastically. think I know there is like reasonable discourse around who should it be Eddie James at 12 and Roberts at 13. Obviously Roberts, we don't really have a lot to go on from this, from a very, very short outing in the back three. We can't really judge him on that at all. But I feel like health permitting, our starting 12, 13 for the next two games should probably be Williams and James.
I kind of agree at the moment. I mean, that brings us on to it. It was EJ 13 game 2, and I have to say, I feel like this works.
I really think it works. I think it works defensively fantastically. I
I
think
think he's a very good defender. Very, very good.
he's really good for the Mason Grady's try. Um, that annoyed me a little bit watching it back because I feel like there was a good opportunity to stop that if I can't remember who it was now. I guess it was me or it might have been Rogers at that point. Could have drifted out to cover Grady, and James was there to cover.
I do feel like we need to give a bit of credit to Mason Grady here, though, because I did enjoy him and Eddie James's battle. And to be fair to Grady, he did get the better of James a couple of times. And I think you see why Mason Grady is arguably the best athlete in Wales. Maybe not the best rugby player, but a phenomenal athlete. And for his try, Eddie James didn't tickle him. Eddie James had the time to kind of slow, set his feet, and whack him. And Mason Grady still finishes the try. For me, I think you have to credit Mason Grady for that.
No, 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 no. I think the finish definitely. What I'm saying is I can't remember who was covering on the wing at that point. I think it was Ellis Me. Um, chose not to, or whatever the system. He went through his check down, and he instead of covering Grady, because Eddie James looked like he couldn't have covered the inside, but he could have because he ran to the point where he was able to tackle Grady. So I think if me fixes Grady instead, it yeah, but he's massive as well, and he could well finish anyway. That's not. I'm getting too in the weeds with this. The point is that I feel like that looked like, oh, Eddie James has got there to make a tackle, and he hasn't quite gotten him out. Whereas if you go back and look, he busts a lung just to get over there. When that pass is made, Eddie James is by the posts. By the time that he gets there, he's almost got him out on the corner flag. He is a fantastic defender. He is a very, very good defender.
He's just a great rugby player. And the Scarlets, having spoken to guys there, place a lot of stock in Johnny Williams. And I think it's fair to say that on TV, us watching as fans, there's something that the Scarlets know and that the players know and that the coaches know about what Johnny Williams brings that doesn't come across on camera, which is why, we've said plenty of times on this pod that we like Eddie James and Joe Roberts. But if we take it that no, Johnny Williams is the guy and he's been captain a few times this season. So if we accept that, the way that he's playing, you can't take Eddie James out of this team. You can't take him out of this team at the moment. And he's athletically, he's massive, he's pacey, he's got hands. I like we've seen him playing at 12, playing, the pullback passes and the distributing the ball close to the line and things, which he can do. Him being at 13 has kind of unlocked this kind of offloading thing with him where he gets the ball to the winger and he's getting line break assists. That's cool as well. So he's just a total rugby player. And this is going to be the last time I said it because I'm getting bored of hearing myself say it. I think that Team Wales will be very happy to see him shift to 13 because I think he solves a lot of problems for Team Wales as well. Sorry, go ahead, mate.
Well, just especially if they still plan on putting Hawkins at 12, then yes, it is great to have him there.
Wow.
The other thing the small thing on Williams, I would just say, oh no, you've got the picture. Never mind. That's best friends.
Is he tickling him? Is that what's happening?
I think he just loves the hug that much. I think that's what it is. The other thing, just on Johnny Williams' selection as well, it is worth mentioning in a positive way, like the age profile there as well. He has so much more experience than apart from apart from Gareth Davis, he has so much more experience than anyone else playing there. You know, if you've got Sam Costello, you don't necessarily need Johnny Williams there for like stability and confidence. Like Costi and Cawdor can do that themselves. But if you've got Hawkins at 10, I just think that Johnny Williams gives you that sort of a bit more calm, collected game management, like just the ability to read what's in front of him a little bit more solidly. And I think that's why we're going to see him at for the next 2 games.
Okay. Well, I see it, and we are now no longer bottom of the URC. And you said in the last pod, mate, that you were very happy with how this block is going. I'm assuming that's still the case.
Yeah, definitely. I think I did say it was going fantastically well or something superfluous. But yeah, I think derbies are generally they're a bit more like knockout rugby. You know, they're a bit closer, they're a bit dicier, and I think that if we, so we're in this block now up until the beginning of the Six Nations. So far, 2 league wins, 1 losing bonus point in Europe, and a loss in Europe is in the Champions Cup is, I think, decent considering we came into the block at the bottom of the league table. More than decent.
I'm minded to agree. Anyway, that's enough of reviewing that Scarlets game. It's time for us now to move on to talk what is the beginning of the community game section, and we begin it with Brisbane Thunder. Now, New Jon, how much do you know about Brisbane Thunder?
I knew nothing before this game other than Gwen Crabb had been signed to come back to play for the team and was announced as captain. And then I was doing my Crimbo shopping and I caught the second half.
But do you know the story of Brisbane? Do you know why we talk about them on this podcast?
I know that they are the Western team.
Okay, so
theoretically, that's as much as I know.
We shall recap for anybody who's new. So the Celtic Challenge is a bit like a women's URC or a women's Celtic league. So it's 2 Welsh teams, 2 Scottish teams, 2 Irish teams. There's been talk about it expanding. We don't know yet. That is the format that it has been for the last 3 seasons. So there are 2 Welsh teams, like I said. There's Gwalior Lightning, which are sort of the easterly team. And there is Brisbane Thunder, which is the westerly team. Now, you might be thinking, hang on a minute, this rings a bell. Yes, I think it very much does. I think this is probably what the thinking was. I think this is maybe either where the idea came from or the first implementation of that idea. But anyway, the reason that we talk about Brisbane Thunder is that they are essentially Scarlets women in all but name. So they play in red at Parker Scarlets. They train in the Scarlets facilities, and the Scarlets do their social media, and the Scarlets post their match reports on their website. And John Daniels, the Scarlets general manager, has said he considers Brisbane Thunder part of the Scarlets family. So whilst it's not officially Scarlets women, they are part of the Scarlets, essentially. And so we talk about them on this podcast. So they played their first game of this season against Glasgow. And unfortunately, they were defeated 36 points to 17 at home. And it is quite disappointing, this result, to be honest, because normally in all the seasons up until now, Glasgow have been a bit of a guaranteed win. So to lose at home to them is a bit of a kick in the pants. What's really frustrating about the whole Brisbane Thunder and the whole Celtic Challenge program is that it's not an all year round thing. They kind of get thrown together 2 weeks before the tournament starts, and it kind of shows. So, like I said, it was 36 points to 17 to Glasgow. It was 12 all at half time. We had some good moments. We had some good tries. Hannah Marshall scored a cool try. Jess Rogers scored a try. Ellie Troman scored a try. Fionn Lewis, who's a former Welsh international scrum half, she was playing. In terms of other Welsh internationals, we had Gwen Crabb was out injured, but we had Natalia John was playing in the second row. We had Seren Singleton played on the wing. She didn't score, but she had a very good game. I enjoyed watching her. And like I said, Ellie Tromans, Hannah Marshall is playing for GB Sevens these days. So yeah, so it was a interesting enough team, but just very disappointing to lose. And Hattie, who is the Scarlet's voice on rap, she is the expert on this team. She knows about the players even before they play for Bristol Thunder, let alone play for Wales. She said she found the game very frustrating. She said the scrum was very good, but the forwards off the bench were disappointing. Hannah Marshall, she had some good moments, she had some bad moments. Discipline was poor. Fionn Lewis, she said Fionn Lewis maybe should be given a gun to make sure that the players all do exactly what she tells them to do. Didn't seem to be much understanding between Fionn Lewis and Hannah Marshall, unfortunately. And what kind of doesn't help is that Gwalia Lightning, the other Welsh team, does seem to be a good step ahead. And you could argue who's got the stronger squad, but there does seem to be an element of coaching and organisation there as well. And Bristol Thunder are coached by Ashley Beck, always have been. And, he does seem to be doing everything on his own, to be fair to him. But we're not seeing progress there, unfortunately, season on season. So it's not all his fault. Like I said, he only gets access to these players 2 weeks before the tournament starts. But I don't know, from the bits that you watched, mate, what did you make of it?
Well, like I said, I was only able to catch it from the second half on. But I, as you explained, did consider them part of the Scarlett's family, if you want to say that. So obviously, I was expecting a lot of backs flair and dramatic movement and things like that. No, it's the same as the Scarlets at the moment. Like it was all in the forwards. Like the power in the pack was really, really pleasing. I thought, who's the starting hooker? Because she like at one point I think she chased down a kick from the backfield and she made it. She made it all the way to the other end of the pitch, tackled the opposition fullback, and like into touch, I think, to set up a line out, which she then threw well. And then
That was Chanel Williams.
Chanel Williams, she was great. I felt like every single thing that I enjoyed watching, like the sort of the thing that made me stand up and go like, oh, something's happening here. I felt like came through Chanel Williams, and so I'm looking forward to watching her week in week out. And
Mm.
I'm probably gonna remember a new player's name or a few new players' names more every week because it's the first time I've ever watched the competition. But I'm really looking forward to getting to know the players a bit more. But yeah,
Yeah,
forward dominance was what I took away from it.
yeah.
And the Glasgow's backs are good.
But in terms of the squad, I think the areas where we're stacked this season is centre and scrum half. To the point we were playing a scrum half on the wing in Sarah Singleton, but she played extremely well out there. So I can see that being made kind of the plan for her. Quick footwork. She had one particularly very, very good break in the first half. So yeah, so disappointing. We'll be keeping up to date with the Thunder across the rest of the season. But now it's time to get into the community game proper. And it being Derby season, it means there's actually quite a lot fewer games to talk about. So here we go, everybody. The community game, as presented by me. Carmarthen Quins faced Llandovery in the first of the double header, and it was a thrilling, tight contest that was eventually won by the home team, 27 points to 26. Lots of Scarlet's talent on show, none less so than Ellis Price for Carmarthen Quins, who sat on the bench for the Scarlets on the Friday night and played for Carmarthen Quins on the Saturday afternoon. The Drovers will be sore from that one, but they'll get a chance to get some vengeance this Friday on Boxing Day at 2:30, looking to turn that one around. So keep your eyes on that. Hopefully Big M will be back to tell us a bit more about it because unfortunately it wasn't televised. Down into the Premiership, Bado beat Narberth 57 points to 15, and Newbridge lost to Llangennith away in Llangennith 25 points to 18. Down into Championship West, only one game as Newcastle Emlyn defeated Ammanford 10 points to 3. Well done, Newcastle Emlyn. Good to see you get a result. Division 2 West, we had Avereron defeated Fishguards 34 points to 10, and then Pontedillas went down to Nancaredig 23 points to 7. De Croix defeated Bertus 45-18, and then Carmarthen Athletic 59-0 away in Whitlands. What a result that is.
Is that Ken Owens, Carmarthen Athletic?
Ken Owens, Carmarthen Athletic. Was he playing fly half in this game? That's what the streets are saying.
The sheriff can do it all. He probably was.
He probably was. Division 3 West, Ammon United and Llandilo drew 15 all. Haverfordwest defeated Cardigan 31-3. Tumble defeated Narberth. We already had Narberth. Maybe not. No, we had Narberth.
We've had first Narberth, but what about second Narberth?
We've had Narberth twice. Tumble defeated Narberth 32 points to 15, apparently. And Trimsaren lost heavily at home to New Dock Stars. Smashed them 52 points to 14. Love it. In the Pembroke Derby. Pembroke Dock 34, Pembroke nil. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And then Crimmock Tyru defeated Newcastle Emlyn Draghi 37 points to 14. Division 4 West B. Binya lost at home to Full Bay, 44 points to 12. Pont Yates lost away to Furness, 34 points to 7. Llandibby defeated Pennybank, 18-17. Ooh, tough result there for Pennybank. Llangadog defeated Tregaron, 29 points to 14. And then in an absolute tri-fest thriller, Panty lost at home to Kivnathan, 31 points to 44. Wow, what a match. And then I think that's all of the results. Oh no. Sorry, Division 1 West. Venenvol defeated Hendy, 19 points to 18. Bury Port defeated Kidwelly, 62 points to 7 away from home. Wow.
Boo. We don't like that. We don't like that.
Lampeter defeated St. Clair's, 37 points to 20. Nice quick community this week. And I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, which is very possible, it's all return fixtures next week. It definitely is in Super Rugby Cymru anyway. So Dems the what's it called? Community results.
Dems the updates.
Yeah.
Is the right. Good. So we now go into a very, very fun 2 weeks. I am really not looking forward to this Boxing Day game. It's going to be a spectacle. It's going to be something else, but it is not going to be a relaxed affair.
The phrase the real winner was rugby is not going to be applied this week, I don't think. But in the spirit of Christmas, I've arranged a quiz.
That's terrifying. I have no access to the internet right now.
So
I'm not looking forward to this at all.
So when the Bridgend Ospreys make their way to come and play us this weekend, it shall be a bottom of the table clash, 15th versus 16th, which I have to be honest, I could see the funny side of. It's the first time all year we've played someone in the league who is below us. So that's something. Now, Opta Analyst have updated their website for this season, which is very exciting. It's one of my favorite stats websites. And I have sought 10 statistics from so far this season of the Ospreys and the Scarlets, and I'm going to go through each of these statistics. And your challenge, New John, is to tell me who's going to be higher, Ospreys or Scarlets.
Oh, I love a little bit of Price is Right with Opta Johnny. This sounds good. Okay,
first one, carry dominance. Who is higher, Ospreys or Scarlets?
Dominant carries. I would say Ospreys.
Yes, they are 44.8% dominant. We're 24.7%, so they're quite a lot better than us. Tackle evasion.
Ooh. Other teams generally have quite high tackle stats against us. So I'm going to say our evasion is lower, and I'm going to say the Ospreys have higher tackle evasion.
Yes, unfortunately, I thought that might be a typical Scarlets one that we do well in, but no, we're 18.8, they're 21.3.
Oof.
Gain line denial. This is a new stat from Opta Johnny this year that I'm very much enjoying. Gain line denial.
Now, this is gain line denial is the new dominant tackles. I'm getting that as a tattoo on my bum. I think we have higher gain line denial.
So they're 30.6. We're 29.3. So
crap, okay.
But very close, very close. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Average dominant hits per 80. Average total number of dominant hits per 80.
Ospreys.
No. So they're on 4.
Really?
We're on 4.3.
Okay, fair enough. Wow, we really don't like we don't like a dominant tackle down west, do we?
We really don't. Rucks per jackal. Now, I like this stat. This is a new stat as well. I'm liking this one. Rucks per jackal.
So how many rucks do you have before someone attempts to steal?
Yes.
We are higher.
By higher, do you mean more rucks between attempts to steal or
Oh,
more
sorry,
attempts to
sorry.
steal?
We have a lower number.
We do have a lower number. They're 24.2, we're 20.4. Now, I do
Yes.
think that's going to change with Captain Josh being out because he is our top rucker by a long way, both in terms of number
Yep.
of rucks and just being good at them. So I suspect that's not going to be a stat that we see reflected at the weekend. Scrum success.
Ooh. Um, so this is only on our own ball,
Yes.
or is this also against? Yeah, okay. Then I'm gonna say the Ospreys.
No. They're
Really?
82.5, we're 88.5.
Go on, boys.
Yeah.
There we go.
Lineouts.
Yeah, I just need to back the boys more. Us.
Yes, we're 90.2. They're 82.0.
Really? I'm
Mhm.
surprised it's that low for them. But I guess, for a good while, Derry Lake, his throwing wasn't really that on the money, and we do have Elias and Marnus who are both pretty good. So,
Mm.
hmm.
Percentage of restarts retained.
Oh, I knew you would choose this one after the conversation last week. Um, I'm gonna have to say, based on our poor performance and restarts, frankly, in the last 3 weeks, that the Ospreys have a higher retention.
Well, what I can tell you is that bizarrely, we are 1 and 2 in the URC.
No,
It's
no, we're not. Out of
we
out of two, yes. That's
so according to Opta Johnny, we retain 18.5 of our restarts. I don't know where they got that from. I've been watching this all season. We haven't
no, no.
retained
Wait,
us.
wait, 18? 1-8?
Yes, of our restarts.
No, that's when we kick and we recover, surely. If it's 18% of
Yeah, that's
restarts.
what.
No?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was imagining we were being kicked too and whether or not we could gather. That's what I was imagining.
No, no, no. This is catching your
Okay,
own
okay.
restarts.
Okay, catching your own restarts, then yeah. No, that makes
Well,
sense. Fair enough.
I don't remember us catching a single one, but the Ospreys are number one, way out in front with 29%.
They really like going short and sending the wingers up to get them. So,
I feel like
yeah,
they're going to get a
the
lot of
edge.
joy out of us this week, John. We're really bad at restarts.
We just um need to not score at all, and they need to not score at all, and then we'll only have to worry about it twice.
Cunning plan. I knew you'd have an idea.
Yeah,
Percentage
I'm
of
full of
rucks
them.
under 3 seconds.
Ospreys.
No, they're 46. We're 47.3.
Really? Oh, okay. These are very, very close. Feel like I want to point out.
Yes, some of these are very close. Percentage of tries originating from your own half.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I
This is the
would
last one.
I would put us as higher in that. Although they have been really good out wide. No, I'm gonna say that we're higher in that.
Well, you'd be wrong. We only score from big and goes these days. Only 10% of our tries have originated from our own half, whereas 31.6% of theirs have.
31. That's insane. Have we swapped identities? Is that the when we weren't paying any attention?
Well,
Now we're
that's
all
what I'm a little
forward
bit worried
grunts
about.
and
This is what I'm saying. We're not playing very Scarlet Sea rugby at the moment. And you know what? Whilst we're winning games, I can turn a blind eye, but eventually we're just going to have to sort this out. But still, so yeah. So I hope everybody's learned something from that little quiz. How
I
are you
learned a
feeling about
lot.
the
And I
game,
learned
having
that
heard those stats?
I'm a lot more scared of Mark Jones's Ospreys than I was Toby Booth's, I suppose now. But that said, what have we won one in the last eight against the Ospreys? Something like that. We've not we had the European win against them last
No, they
year,
won in Europe.
and then
We
the
won in the league
following
game.
week. Oh, did we? Was it that way around?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
At the park, it was the
Well,
league
then,
game. We smashed
regardless,
them.
we won one and they won the other.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and then yeah. So but generally, I don't know. Have you watched either of their or any of the last three games of theirs? I've seen most of them, but I haven't watched them all the way through. They were
Not
not good
really.
last week against Munster. They were
No,
not
I've heard
good.
that they were bad last week.
I feel like not having Kieran Williams on the bench rather than starting really hampered it for them, and I would assume that he will start this weekend. I couldn't find anything relating to what injuries that they've got from there. Obviously, Morgan is out long term. Sorry, there are too many Morgans over there. Jack Morgan is out long term. They've just brought in a new back rower as injury cover, so I'm very, very doubtful he'll actually show up in this game. I think South African. So you'd expect what Deves and Morse. I can't. I'm trying to even think who's in there. Who they've got as second row options. They've got Fender and Reese Davis and
Ryan Smith as well, the
others.
Aussie.
Yeah, their front row is in. I think everyone in their front row is good. So it's just whether or not they want to start. Again, this is me without any of my notes in front of me right now. Without they've got the option of Reese Henry and Gareth Thomas and Derry Laker Fit, who you'd assume are their first choice. And then what? Both Parry and gosh, I'm really struggling on Ospreys squads right now.
Cameron Jones.
Cameron Jones is the other prop. Yeah, it's the thing is I almost feel like I know this is poor podcasting. I almost feel like it's I don't know how much analysis there is to glean before this game.
Well, if you line the stats up against each other, when I was having a play with the Opta Johnny website, I have to say that it's not pretty reading for us. However, we know we had an atrocious first 4 games and have turned it around in the last 4 to an extent. So our stats are kind of skewed downwards, but I would say that there are still clear weaknesses, such as in the air, restarts, that kind of area of the game where their stats are a lot better than ours. So I'm worried about that situation. Kind of the only... Go on.
Oh, just the Opta Johnny really quickly because I forgot. But did you find the only stat that in European rugby we come out on top in?
No.
There is one statistic which we came at least first or maybe very close, but I thought it was first. Percentage of tackles made below the hips was the one statistic that we come out on top.
Yeah.
Which there are worse things to be good at. I do generally feel that we're at a point now where the attack is looking really good. If Hawkins is starting at 10, he's got impetus to play well against his old club. It's not very often people go west over the Locher Bridge.
That is true. That is unusual. That doesn't happen very often. Part of me feels like our best plan is just to go full bastard mode, but that doesn't feel like it's going to work against the Ospreys because that's their whole thing. Is they're the bastard team and we're supposed to be the pretty boys.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it's going to work if we go the other way around. They are coached by a Scarlet, so there's that.
Hence their flair and playing with much abandon.
Yeah. I mean, they are bottom of the league.
You're really enjoying that for the first week of the season. We can stand up and say, "Hey, we're not bottom of the league anymore."
We are not bottom of the league.
I feel like the bastard element that you put in that you mentioned is like I feel like that's not such a strong part of the identity anymore. Maybe if Moriarty is playing because he does bring that sort of that feeling to the game. But I feel like with players like Ball and Douglas, like Marnus, I feel like we can bring that vinegar bastard element TM to where is it? Oh yeah, it's in the park. Of course it is. I feel like we can bring that element of it to the game, and I think up front, I expect us to not dominate, but I expect us to have the edge. I feel like the Cardiff pack is stronger than the Ospreys pack at the moment, and I feel like we did a pretty good job of managing them. No, I do think so. Maybe not in the set piece, but in the open, yeah, in loose play. You disagree?
It just feels wrong to say because the whole point of the Ospreys is their pack.
They're so different this season, though. I mean, they've been playing completely different since Mark Jones really took over, but
I don't know. I'm worried. Scarlet's by 2, obviously, but it would go against the maths, I would say, in terms of the styles of play. Not that I'm not backing the boys, but the maths is skewed because we've only played 2 good games in the URC, whereas we've played 5 bad ones. Um, so it's difficult to say. So we'll just have to tune in and see what happens. In terms of
Yeah, we'll just have to
selection,
tune in next week. Yeah.
yeah, in terms of selection, my question for you with Captain Josh out is, do you play Tame Plumtree at 7?
Oh, do you want to have a back row of Douglas, Plumtree, and Anderson? That would be really annoying to play against. Um,
Think of the
I
options. I think that's my
think
preferred option, to be honest with you.
I think you could. Although I feel like Dan Davis didn't have a particularly bad game against Bordeaux. How did you feel? You were watching him in person. Would
I
you
don't think
be
he had a
against
particularly
Dan
bad
Davis?
game either. I mean, he's the like for like replacement with McLeod as much as he can be. But I just like the idea of the shortest player in our back row being Fletcher Anderson.
Yeah. And also, if you start Plumtree, that does give you four credible line-out options. I
No,
don't think has Fletcher Anderson jumped? If so, it would be five, but I don't remember him
I
jumping at
don't
any
think he
point.
has.
But
He's
you've
the
got
wrong
Lousy
shape.
Ball, but he can throw him real high. But you've got Lousy Ball and Lousy Ball, Douglas and Plumtree, all good options. Yeah, although I'm not too worried about the set piece in general. Um, I would, yeah, but I do like the idea of Ball, Lousy, and Douglas playing. Yeah, why not? Why not put Plumtree in there? I mean, I know I was saying before that I felt like it would be better to maybe start the game with Plumtree at 8 and bring Anderson off the bench at some point. But obviously, with McLeod injured, that's not a luxury that we have. Um, I feel like our three best back rowers, our four best back rowers outside of Josh McLeod are um, Douglas, Anderson, Plumtree, and Taylor. I believe. And so I think having three of them start and probably Taylor on the bench has been working for us, and I don't see any reason why we shouldn't continue with that.
Okay.
It also gives you a bit of flexibility for the second row. So,
And then what are we doing for the back three? So if Blair Murray's out,
oh yeah, well
do you
Jack
just
Davis
bring
probably.
Jack Davis in at fullback with Tommy and Ellis on the wings?
Yeah, yeah, I don't see any reason why not. And I think Jack Davis has the hilarious thing about this is Jack Davis will have gone from playing, was it Glasgow? Did he play Glasgow? No, he played Bristol. Bristol and then
Or
Bristol, Bordeaux,
or then Quins?
Cardiff, or
No, he didn't
Carmarthen
play
Quins,
against
sorry,
Cardiff.
yeah. No, no,
Yeah.
no. Carmarthen Quins, and then the Ospreys in the box. Like that's and hilariously, out of all of that, the Boxing Day derby is probably the highest. It's probably the biggest game, and the Quins game is the second biggest of that block for him. Like emotionally, I can imagine. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think he's acquitted himself very, very well. I think you'd put him at 15.
And then who wears 22 and 23?
Max Page in at 23. 22 is tough. Roberts, I suppose. But then, no, well, Carwyn
Mm.
Leggett Jones is injured.
Is he?
Ellis Price? Was he
Is
not injured?
Carl?
I thought someone told me he wasn't. He didn't play on the weekend, no? Or did he?
He played for Wales under 19s.
Oh, of course. That's why he wasn't selected. I just assumed because he didn't show up for Quins. Um, oh, sorry, no, he's Llandovery, isn't he?
No,
I'm
no, no, no.
still only
He's
getting
he's
to grips
Quins.
with
He's
the
Quins.
SSC. He is Quins.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I guess it's Ellis Price. Like, I can't. If who is Leggett Jones available then? If he hasn't, or is
I
he
believe
playing?
so.
If he's available, then yeah, then it's the notorious CLJ.
Right.
Do you disagree?
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I'm trying to think what could the possible other options be. I don't want to see Gareth Davis playing
Um.
10. Hey, Eddie
Oh, that
James?
is. That, I don't know, but for this game, for this game against the Ospreys on Boxing Day, if you're gonna choose a game to give Gareth Davis at 10, um, it's like the Ken Owens 8 game. Um,
That was a legendary game.
that's what I'm saying. Now you've put the idea in my head. Gosh, I want to see Gareth Davis play a game at 10 before he retires. Huh? Um, yeah, in all seriousness, I would say Cohen Leggett-Jones first choice, Ellis Price second. Um, yeah, so you've got Archie Hughes. Do you put Archie Hughes on the bench for this or Blacker?
I would put Archie Hughes personally.
See, I think it's worth the investment in the future to have him there more than anything
Yes,
else. Um, so what? Hughes, Carmen Leggett-Jones.
Max Page.
Why are you smiling? Yeah,
Because
Max Page.
no,
Right.
I'm remembering something about Archie. But the yeah, it's quite small
That's
bench.
yeah, but when you think
Max packs a
about
punch.
he does pack a punch. He seems I'm always shocked by how small he actually is in real life. He feels when you watch him on the telly, he feels much larger in his presence on the pitch and
He
how he
played
runs and how he
12 for
makes
Wales under
space.
20s and did well.
Like
Scored a hat trick.
I think we're really lucky to have him, and I'm a bit worried to be honest that he's going to move on at some point because he should be a starting player for a team,
Hmm.
and unfortunately there just isn't room internationally for that for
Yeah,
him.
but
I
at least the
think
good
to
news is
start.
that they want to get rid of a team in Wales to concentrate the talent, which means that there'll be even fewer
Yeah,
opportunities for him to play.
yeah, that's true. I think it's a wonderful idea that's going to result in all of the concentrated talent staying. And yeah, no, I
I
can't.
think
I
we're
can't
sticking.
even.
I think they're going to stick with four
Um,
teams at this point. I don't think. I think they're going to
yeah,
slowly move on from the whole cutting a team thing and then hope everybody forgets.
I mean, I only have what other people tell me because I'm slightly geographically removed from the area. But the sort of whispers that I was hearing all over the weekend was that people are suddenly, and when I say people, I mean internal, like people involved with the WIU, are um, are starting to sour on Reading. I don't know if you heard similar things.
I haven't heard that. No. Well, I've been sour on him since day one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's the wrong type of vinegar, but it feels like there might be some sort of shift happening. Maybe it's to do with the rumors of what's going on behind the scenes at Cardiff falling through with Y11 and all of that. I don't know. It's all hearsay. All I can say for sure is that I hope this is not the last time we have a Boxing Day derby against the Ospreys in the park.
No, I don't really want a Boxing Day derby against the Cheaters or
No.
whoever.
Black Lion,
Yeah.
Delta. Actually, if it was against Delta, that would be reasonable because once every 2 years I could actually drive and watch it.
Would that be in Brussels?
Eindhoven, I think they're in Belgium,
Oh, okay.
or it might be Amsterdam. I don't know. There's a lot of rivers. There's a lot of opportunities for deltas. Regardless,
Is it Brussels
um,
Devils? Is that who it is?
I couldn't tell you, but I've never met a nice person from Brussels, so I'd say that probably tracks. Don't come after me. The Belgians are lovely people, very dull but nice.
Anyway, right,
Um,
on that
um,
note,
Scarlets by 5. Sorry, I didn't get it out earlier.
Scarlets by 2. So don't lose this, please. So that brings us to an end of the podcast. Like, subscribe if you've gotten all the way to the end. You clearly enjoyed it, so for goodness sake, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I've been HG Rugby, he's been New John, and we shall speak to you at some point. Bye.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.